Hi, thanks for tuning in. Today I want to share my top tips for taking care of your Birkins. Now, a lot of these tips can apply to a Kelly or any other handbag that you have that you would like to protect. But I also know that as coveted as Birkins are, a lot of us want to be able to take good care of them so that they last longer, they maintain their shape and nothing, horrible happens to them. So I thought this would be helpful to share some of my real life tips. This is my Birkin. It is a yellow color. It's called Jaune Ambre. I don't speak French, so it's probably not 100% accurate, but it is in this gorgeous yellow color. It is a Birkin 30 that's in Clemence leather with silver hardware. So you can see it's in the Jaune style. Jaune, I feel like that's how you have to say it. But it means that it is not in like a sharp edge, and the edges are kind of turned in. And so because of the combo of the leather and the fact that it is that Jaune style, I have slight more concerns of this bag slouching. So I'll share a little bit more of what I'm doing to try to prevent some of that. But before I get into the inside, I want to share how I take care of the outside. So the first thing that I do is I have twillies on my handles. Now, I did film a quick tutorial on how to wrap the twillies around my bags. I only use twillies for my Birkin and for my Picotine. Those are really the only two bags that I use twillies on, because in general, I'm not a huge fan of twillies. I much prefer the look of a Birkin that doesn't have the twillies on them. But I decided to get two twillies for my bag because it is in a lighter color. I was a little bit concerned about the handles kind of staining just from my everyday wear and handling. And because it's a lighter color, I wanted to be a little bit more mindful of that, and that's why I decided to get twillies. And I also think by going with a contrasting color, it helps tone down a little bit of the bag. Otherwise, it might be a little too bright and out there. That's definitely something that I do to help protect the bag. And when I store my bag, I actually just store it like this. I do close it up like this, and I leave it inside my closet. You might have seen a snippet of what it looks like in my closet storage tips video, but I like to leave it out like this just because A, I think it's really pretty to look at, and B, I don't want it to be so difficult to have to use some of my bags by having them all in their dust bags. And because my closet is far away from the window and my closet is also enclosed, I'm not too concerned about anything really happening to this bag, and I'm okay leaving it out. But if that weren't the case, if my closet were closer to a window or something like that, then I think I would definitely put it in its dust bag. But I don't make an effort to put it in its box. That's mostly because I want it to stand up this way rather than lay on its side. When it came in its box, there was a little bit of a tissue paper pillow for it to hold up the handles, but otherwise it's pretty much laying in the bag like this. And I thought, over time that would probably make the bag sag in a weird kind of funky way, rather than it just kind of, sagging from gravity when it's sitting like this. So I decided I wanted to take it out of its box and leave it out like this. There are some protective felts that exist. When you get the bag, they come already wrapped in the bag. I think my unboxing video will probably have all of the original felt on it, so you can see what that looks like as well. I don't store it that way, mostly because I do use this bag frequently enough where I am not concerned that the leather will start sticking together. I also make sure that the closet space is pretty dehumidified and doesn't have a lot of moisture in there for the bag to start sticking to itself. If I don't use this bag for 6+ months, if I know I'm not going to use it for that long, then I would definitely put the felt on there just to put an additional layer of protection between each of the leather panels to prevent them from sticking to each other. But because I do use this bag more frequently than that, I'm not too concerned, and I feel like I use it frequently enough where I can check, you know, and make sure none of the leather is sticking to each other. So I like to store the bag closed up, mostly because of how soft this leather is. I think it'll prevent some of the sagging that could happen because it's a softer leather. So this is how I store my bag. How many times can I say this is how I store my bag, right? Oh my goodness, sorry. In the inside, I leave the original air paper that it came with. And by air paper, I don't know what else to really call it. I've heard other folks call it air paper, which is why I call it air paper. But inside, when I refer to air paper, I mean these things. So these are what originally came with the bag, and a lot of times this is what comes in your Amazon package to prevent the things from like sliding around. So if you have any extras of these, I like to use these for a lot of my bags, especially bigger bags, because the probability of something sagging for bigger bags is a lot higher than when you have like a mini bag, right? So I leave these two inside when I close it up, and that's how I like to keep it all the time. I like to have the air paper in there because I want it to help maintain the shape. And when I usually use my bag, this is how I like to carry it. And on the inside, in the inside flat pocket back here, there's a flat pocket, and in there I always keep one of the rain jackets. So far I haven't had to use it, but this is always in the back pocket just in case I get caught in some rain or there's some unexpected moisture happening. And this is just to protect the bag from any watermarks or water stains that can happen. So I always put one in the back of my bag there in the pocket. And otherwise, it's just like a pretty big open space. There's a slip pocket, not a flip pocket, a slip pocket in the front, and then there's just the open space on the inside. So because of the softness of this leather, I mean, it is a gorgeous, gorgeous leather, but I do know that over time, this bag will sag. Part of it's going to be inevitable, so I accept that, but as soon as I got the bag, it made me wonder if I wanted to get something else that I'm not a huge fan of. And that is this. This is a bag insert. I will share. I wanted to leave it in its original packaging though, just to share how it comes. I thought it would come in like a much bigger package, but it's actually pretty compact. So I was contemplating getting a bag insert for my Birkin. It's another one of those items that historically I have not been a huge fan of. Not that there's anything wrong with them, I just didn't feel like it was a necessary accessory for me to have in my life. A, I tend to use smaller bags. There usually isn't enough real estate to do that much organization, and B, I pretty much have a system for how my things go into my bags anyway, and I don't carry a lot of things because I usually carry a small bag. So the bag inserts seem like a wonderful idea for much larger bags. So far, I never really felt like I needed one for any of the bags that I had. Now enter this in its smushy, beautiful leather. Started to think about getting a bag insert. I did, mostly so that it can help the bag keep its structure. I was lucky enough where this brand actually sent this bag insert for me to try it out. It actually comes with an extra component, an extra compartment, but otherwise it's kind of like what you would expect it to look like. It is like a big rectangle. It has 3 pockets on one side, 2 pockets on the other, so that you can have a larger pocket. And it's otherwise open in the middle. It has a slip pocket on one side, and then it has 3 slip pockets on this other side. This is an extra compartment. You can see it's divided into 3 in here, and it has Velcro on the side. So all you have to do is just pop it in and stick it to the sides. And then you can have a lot more compartmentalization in your bag if that's what you're looking for. When I was looking at bag inserts, I was sometimes shocked at the price range. There's a vast price range for them. I was really thrilled when this company reached out because I feel like their bag inserts are at a very reasonable price point. It would be what I initially anticipated and expected bag inserts to be, and it's a very like thick and sturdy felt material that's like not going to easily lose its shape. I got the dark gray color for it to fit a Birkin 30, and I'm just going to pop it inside so you can see. This is what it looks like with it inside, and it pretty much comes up to where the zipper compartment is in the back, if that gives you any reference. It also pretty much meets where this slip pocket was on the other side, and I can already tell that it has really added some structure to this bag, which is good, which is what I want, because I think it's going to need some help in keeping its structure. If I just leave it on its own, I know this bag will sag, and over time, it even with the bag insert, even with whatever I try to do, I know it will still sag a little bit. And like I said, I'm ready to accept that. It's kind of like aging, you know, like you know it's going to happen. You know you can't beat time that way, but you would like to prevent some of it. You know, you don't want to prematurely get wrinkles and age spots and things like that. So that's pretty much what I'm trying to do with the bag insert. It's very light. The felt itself is very, very, very light. So I don't feel like it's adding a ton of weight to this bag, which some may argue is already heavy on its own. And I do think it's helpful to have the bag insert. When I store my bag, I still like to close it up and store it with the air paper on the inside, but I like to use the bag insert when I'm taking my bag out, because when I take it out, I leave it open like this, and it helps to keep the structure, and it helps my things from like flying around on the inside of the bag. So I hope that distinction makes sense. I still close it up when I store this bag because of how soft it is. And I feel like the bag insert, like if I were to close with the bag insert, it almost feels like the inside's like fighting against the closure from the outside, and I don't want that. I much prefer the air paper be in there to help keep some of the shape and the space, rather than it being like a stiffer bag insert that's like constricting. One other tip, when you're storing your bag, I do remember in the care booklet that came with the bag, it said to refrain from using any kind of like silica gel or chemical dehydrant inside the bag. We all know that moisture is not your best friend when it comes to maintaining your leather goods, and so some folks may be tempted to put something on the inside of the bag, and I think that actually dries out the leather a lot faster. So I don't put anything on the inside of the bag except for the air paper. That's the only thing that goes on the inside. There's no silica gel, there's no dehydrant, there's nothing that goes inside. And instead, I do make sure that the closet space itself has some dehumidifying elements in there that are natural, so that it keeps a very ambient temperature, moisture, all of that stuff. If you want more details on like how I organize my closet, I have a separate video, and that might be more helpful for you. Otherwise, because of the natural beauty of this leather, I have not tried to treat it in any way. I have not tried to spray it with like a water repellent spray or anything like that. I decided that I wanted to keep the bag in its most natural element, let it age over time as naturally as possible. You know, at the end of the day, it's a bag. So I'm going to enjoy it and use it for what it is. And if some marks come on it along the way, that just adds to the general character and the story that's behind this bag. So apparently my camera decided to not record my little outro, so I'm going to end the video here. I hope you found these tips helpful. If you have any other care tips for your precious bags, please leave them in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you as well. I would also highly encourage you to check out the description box. I will leave links to some of the items that I like to use in my closet to make sure that it is dry and ambient and all of that good stuff. But otherwise, I will ask that you check me out on Instagram, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I post new videos every Sunday.
So until next time, bye!